An endless expanse of blue, the ocean stretches far beyond the horizon, touching every shore, every land, every dream of the unknown. It is not just a body of water, but a vast canvas for the sails of imagination and the rudders of history. In its depths and across its surface, tales of courage and curiosity have been etched by the salt and the wind. But what drives the human spirit to plunge into its unfathomable mysteries? Consider an age when the maps of the world were incomplete, a time when the siren call of the sea beckoned the brave to discover what lay beyond the setting sun. It was an era that valued the bold, the innovative, the visionaries. And out of this crucible of ambition rose figures who would forever change the course of history with their voyages. One such pioneer set sail from the ancient land of China, commanding a fleet so grand it dwarfed the ports it left behind. What impulse pushed them toward the horizon? What truths were they seeking amidst the waves? His name was Zheng He, a mariner, explorer, diplomat, and fleet admiral during China's early Ming Dynasty. His journeys were not for conquest, but for connection, reaching out across the water to distant shores. Zheng He's odyssey began over 6 centuries ago, a narrative etched into the annals of time. So let us cast off the moorings of the present and voyage back to the 15th century to uncover the story of a man and his fleet as they embraced the vast and mysterious ocean. In the tapestry of maritime history, few figures stand as prominently as Zheng He, the legendary Chinese explorer whose early life is as intriguing as the voyages he led. Born in 1371 into a Muslim family in the region now known as Yunnan province, Zheng He, originally named Ma He, found his fate irreversibly altered by the shifting tides of power in dynastic China. At the tender age of 10, his life took a dramatic turn when the army of the Ming Dynasty captured him during their southward campaign against the Mongols. As a consequence of this tumultuous period, Ma He was taken as a captive to the imperial court in Nanjing. There, he was castrated and entered into service as a court eunuch under the rule of Prince Zhu Di, the future Yongle emperor. It was within the walls of the imperial court that Ma He's abilities began to shine. His loyalty to Zhu Di was unwavering, his intellect sharp, and his physique imposing despite his early mutilation. He was known for his military prowess, and he played a pivotal role in helping Zhu Di ascend to the throne. After Zhu Di claimed the throne and ushered in the Yongle era in 1402, Ma He was entrusted with greater responsibilities and renamed Zheng He to mark his achievements and new status. Zheng He's rise to prominence was further cemented by his leadership abilities and his vast knowledge of maritime subjects, which were relatively rare at the time. The emperor recognized these unique qualities and, looking to expand Chinese influence and prestige across the seas, appointed Zheng He to command a series of expeditions that would make history. Thus, a young boy captured in war rose to become the admiral of the greatest fleet the world had seen up to that point, setting the stage for a series of epic voyages that would extend the glory of the Ming Dynasty far beyond the shores of China. In the dawn of the 15th century, as Europe slowly emerged from the Dark Ages, on the other side of the world, the Ming Dynasty of China was looking outward, initiating an unparalleled era of exploration. It was within this chapter of history that Zheng He, a court eunuch and trusted advisor to the Yongle emperor, embarked on his maiden voyage, setting sail in 1405. The objectives of Zheng He's first expedition were twofold: to expand China's maritime and geopolitical influence through a display of naval power, and to establish trade routes that would create economic ties with lands afar. The fleet was composed of a staggering number of ships. Some historians estimate as many as 317, with the colossal flagships known as treasure ships stretching up to 400 feet in length and 160 feet in width. This armada dwarfed any naval expedition previously known to man. With 9-masted sails and manned by over 28,000 sailors, warriors, diplomats, and scholars, it was a floating microcosm of the empire's might and sophistication. Zheng He's fleet was equipped with a wealth of goods for trade, including silks, porcelains, and precious metals, tokens of peace and partnership, yet also symbols of the Celestial Empire's grandeur. The endeavor was not just a feat of naval engineering, but also a testament to China's command over naval navigation. The size and complexity of Zheng He's fleet necessitated advancements in maritime technology and nautical cartography. Reports indicate that the shipbuilders of the treasure fleet incorporated watertight bulkhead compartments, a technology not used in Western shipbuilding until centuries later. Accounts of these first seafaring ventures highlight the Armada's visits to various kingdoms and states, from the shores of Southeast Asia to the edge of the Indian Ocean, a true odyssey that reshaped the maritime landscape of the era. Following the trail of Zheng He's first groundbreaking voyage, the subsequent 6 expeditions embarked on exploring and forging connections that would mark the halls of history with their unprecedented scale and scope. These voyages, spanning from 1407 to 1433, served not only to showcase Ming Dynasty's grandeur, but also to extend the tendrils of trade and diplomacy across the far reaches of the known world. Each journey began from China's eastern shores with a fleet that dwarfed any maritime contingent of its time, comprised of hundreds of ships, including the colossal treasure ships, and manned by a crew thousands strong. Zheng He's second expedition in 1407 ventured to the shores of South and Southeast Asia, brushing the coasts of India and making its way to the Persian Gulf and the eastern coast of Africa. His armada, a floating city of sails and timber, was a sight to behold, carrying with it the promise of friendship and commerce. The third voyage, launched in 1409, revisited many of the ports in Southeast Asia and India, further solidifying trade links and collecting tributes for the Ming court. The fourth through sixth voyages, spanning from 1413 to 1422, reached even further. The ebb and flow of these ambitious travels brought Chinese silk, porcelain, and lacquerware to the bazaars of Arabia and the Swahili coast, exchanging them for pearls, gemstones, and exotic wildlife. Meanwhile, embassies were established in nations along the route, from Malacca to Hormuz, weaving a web of diplomatic relations that spoke of mutual respect and heralded a new era of international engagement. The seventh and final voyage of Zheng He, which commenced in 1433, capped off these maritime missions, touching upon the Arabian Peninsula and again the eastern coast of Africa. Brimming with the confidence of his previous accomplishments, Zheng He carried letters from the Chinese emperor to distant rulers, expanding China's political influence and securing its position as a global power during that epoch. The visits to these foreign lands not only provided opportunities for trade, but also allowed for an exchange of knowledge, art, and culture, profoundly impacting both the visitors and their hosts. Throughout his 7 voyages, Zheng He did not merely traverse the oceans. He wove together a tapestry of international relations that stood the test of time. The artifacts and anecdotes from these voyages have transcended generations, offering us a glimpse into an era where the spirit of discovery and cooperation shaped the future of entire regions. As these fleets returned to China, they heralded not only economic prosperity, but also a legacy of cultural fusion that would resonate for centuries to come. Embarking on an investigative journey into the heart of ancient maritime prowess, we now delve into the world of Zheng He's unprecedented naval technologies and his mastery of the seas. As we uncover the ingenious shipbuilding capabilities and navigation techniques that propelled China into an era of nautical supremacy, we find ourselves amid a story of innovation and discovery. These were not mere ships that Zheng He commanded, but floating behemoths of technological might, known to history as the treasure ships. With hulls towering above the waves, these vessels were monumental achievements of their time, each capable of dwarfing the most significant European caravels by several times over. The shipyards of Nanjing became the birthing grounds of Zheng He's fleet, where the ancient art of shipbuilding was transformed through innovative prowess. Master craftsmen and engineers, harnessing the wisdom passed down through generations, pushed the boundaries of what was considered possible. Ming Dynasty records, particularly the Ming Shilu, shed light on the complexity and scale of these treasure ships, some purportedly stretching over 120 meters in length. Notably, their construction utilized a compartmentalized hull design, an attribute lending remarkable strength and stability to the ships. This feature provided watertight compartments that could be independently sealed off in the face of breaches, a technique not dissimilar to modern-day bulkhead construction in contemporary ships, showcasing an understanding of maritime safety centuries ahead of its time. Not only were the physical designs of these vessels groundbreaking, but their courses across the treacherous oceans were charted with equally impressive navigational methodologies. The mariners of Zheng He's fleet, guided by the stars and equipped with the compass, a Chinese invention that revolutionized naval exploration, charted their way through the open waters. They used detailed maritime charts and knowledge of monsoon winds to journey to distant lands. Aboard these expeditions, they harbored a variety of goods and carried them over routes that linked China to the rest of the world, imparting and absorbing cultural, technological, and scientific knowledge, a testament to their superior navigational skill set. Upon their return, these voyages brought back not only goods and treasures from afar, but also a plethora of innovative ideas. Contact with different civilizations led to an influx of knowledge and techniques that were integrated into Chinese society. One might consider how these interactions influenced the fields of medicine, astronomy, and even cuisine, presenting a tale of intercultural exchange fueled by maritime prowess. As these technologically advanced fleets voyaged between continents, Zheng He's men became ambassadors not only of trade, but also of the technological brilliance imbued within their very vessels. The legacy of these maritime odysseys echoes through time, leaving an indelible mark on the narrative of human progress and ingenuity on the high seas. Venturing beyond the immediacy of Zheng He's maritime prowess lies an intricate tapestry of cultural exchange, unraveling across the seas with every voyage his fleet undertook. While goods such as silk, porcelain, and spices traversed from deck to distant shores, less tangible yet equally significant were the ideas and customs that sailed alongside. The cultural impact of these voyages can scarcely be overstated. They were not mere passages of people and products, but conduits of cultural transformation. The fleet, functioning as a floating caravan, facilitated an unprecedented flow of knowledge. Exotic animals and plants were exchanged, thrilling the imaginations of people continents apart. The giraffes that Zheng He brought back to China from East Africa were believed to be qilins, mythical creatures signaling prosperity and serenity, a testament to the profound cultural exchange at play. The entourage of interpreters, diplomats, and scholars aboard the voyages were key to the rich dialogue between civilizations. Islam, which Zheng He himself practiced, found new adherents and appreciation through interactions, leaving echoes in the religious practices along the Swahili coast, a prime example of the spiritual diffusion facilitated by these expeditions. Artistic expression, too, saw an influx of diversity. Motifs and techniques in pottery and textiles intermingled, resulting in creations that bore hallmarks of cross-pollination. Consider the instant exchange of knowledge that Zheng He's voyages heralded. Chinese cartography and navigation vastly improved through the acquisition of local geographic knowledge, just as foreign envoys arrived in China, bearing books and astronomical charts. The exchange was twofold. Chinese artisans, monks, and technocrats, in turn, imparted their understanding of the sciences and arts, enriching the vaults of knowledge in each port of call. Yet the impact was not solely external. The very social fabric of China was altered as distant customs and artifacts seeped into the Ming Dynasty's cultural landscape. Each returned fleet was a floating museum, bearing tales and treasures from afar, which in turn inspired Chinese literature, arts, and the imagination of a nation. These voyages thus became a bridge, not merely spanning the breadth of oceans, but linking disparate worlds in an early dialogue of globalization, the effects of which resound to this day. As we reflect on the monumental chapters of nautical history, few figures cast as long a shadow as the legendary admiral Zheng He. With a fleet vast as cities at sea, Zheng He, the Ming Dynasty's intrepid explorer, embarked on voyages that redefined the boundaries of the world's oceans. Born Ma He in 1371, it was a journey from captured boy to trusted naval commander that forged his indelible mark on the annals of maritime lore. What truly sets Zheng He apart is the staggering scope of his voyages. Between 1405 and 1433, this giant of naval exploration led 7 epic expeditions, commanding the largest wooden ships the world had ever seen. Through the South China Sea and into the Indian Ocean, his armada reached faraway shores, from Southeast Asia to the Swahili coast of Africa. Zheng He's mastery over vast distances, with fleets numbering 300 ships and crews of nearly 28,000, stands as a testament to his remarkable achievements. Yet, Zheng He's legacy extends far beyond the feats of seamanship. His excursions were as much about diplomacy and cultural exchange as they were about exploration. With each landfall, Zheng He's fleet brought with it the spirit of cooperation, sowing the seeds of mutual respect and understanding among diverse civilizations. The precious gifts exchanged, from silk and porcelain to exotic fauna, signaled the Ming Empire's eagerness to embrace the wider world. Moreover, Zheng He's exploits are historically significant for their peaceful nature, contrasting with the colonial conquests that would come later. The power and might of his treasure ships could have been wielded for destruction, yet they sailed with the olive branch of friendship, forever altering perceptions and forging links that would endure long past the admiralty of Zheng He. It is this deliberate refrain from aggression that lauds his true ingenuity and foresight. As we cast our gaze across the centuries, Zheng He's undertakings resonate with timeless grandeur. His sagas are not merely of a man journeying across the seas, but of humanity's insatiable quest for knowledge and connection, a narrative that still inspires to this day. And so, as we draw the curtains on this segment, we find in Zheng He's unparalleled voyages a legacy that navigates beyond history into the very heart of human ambition. As we draw this chapter to a close, reflecting on the colossal undertakings of Zheng He, we have traversed through the annals of history to understand a man whose name became synonymous with exploration and cultural exchange. During the early 15th century, his 7 epic voyages, commissioned by the Ming Dynasty, showcased not only China's naval supremacy, but also the potential for international diplomacy and trade across the vast Indian Ocean. These journeys were not mere travels. They were grand missions, bearing the dual mantle of expanding the Chinese tributary system and gathering knowledge. His fleet, a formidable armada, dwarfed that of any contemporary explorer, equipped with treasure ships that stretched over 400 feet. Through these monumental travels, Zheng He helped sculpt a world that was more interconnected, where ideas and goods flowed freely between civilizations. His legacy, enriched by the influences he absorbed and disseminated, demonstrates the sheer boundlessness of human arete when it is driven by curiosity and led by courage. Zheng He remains a beacon of maritime history, an exemplar who centuries ago expanded the horizons of the known world. As we sign off on today's episode, let his story remind us of the vast tapestry of global history and inspire us to explore and understand the myriad connections that shape our present. And as our voyage across the seas of history draws to a close, I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for joining us today on the Daily History Podcast. Your curiosity and passion for learning are what make this journey through time both possible and infinitely rewarding. We hope you've enjoyed exploring the remarkable tales of Zheng He's expeditions as much as we've enjoyed sharing them with you. If our storytelling has sparked a newfound interest, or perhaps stoked the flames of an existing passion for history, we invite you to connect with us. Your thoughts, your comments, and your perspectives enrich the tapestry of our show. Before we set sail from today's adventure, we cast a line into the future, beckoning your input. What mysteries of history do you yearn to unravel next? Which chronicles of the past should we navigate in our forthcoming episodes? Reach out, share your ideas, and who knows, your suggestion might be the compass guiding our next grand exploration into the annals of time. Until then, subscribe to stay abreast of our historical tides, and may the currents of knowledge carry you forth until we meet again here on the Daily History Podcast.